Well, Big V, should we get rolling? I know
Let's
people
do
are
this.
excited for the content, and it is so good to be here with you.
Well, I'm excited to be here too. Thanks for having me, Owen.
My pleasure. And I figured that you're going to go ahead and run with it, Verl. I'll jump in on a couple slides here so we get going, but I can't wait to dig into the content too. So I guess on this first one, I'll announce that we are having a DoorDash giveaway. You're in the right place if that's what you came for. Hopefully you'll enjoy the delicious content as well. But when we get to the end of the webinar, we'll go ahead and do a drawing. You must be present to win, and we'll give away a DoorDash gift certificate or two.
I love that. So let's just introduce ourselves to everybody. Owen, why don't you give us a quick overview of who you are and Lucidpress?
Will do. So I'm Owen, as you see here. I'm the general manager of Lucidpress, which means it's my job to make it all go. We're a venture-backed software company based in Utah, and we focus on what's called brand templating. We make it quick and easy for anyone in an organization to create on-brand materials. And we work a lot with a number of folks here on the line and others in the real estate space. A number of brokerages that we see popping on here are people that we work with, so thank you for joining. And very proud to also be the next door neighbor, just by total chance, of Verl Workman. So even though we end up flying around the country sometimes to go to events at the same place, but he's my over the fence neighbor as well. So these are always particularly fun webinars when Verl and I get to hang out.
That's true, but I think we spend more time on Zoom than we actually do face to face. So
it's been a busy stretch lately for us.
it's been a busy summer. So I'm Verl Workman, CEO of Workman Success Systems, also based in Salt Lake City, Utah. Our focus at Workman Success System is we are literally the experts on building seven-figure teams and brokerages. We work with brokers and owners and team leaders on creating unbelievable success. We have every system and process needed to help you recruit and to grow your business. And we're all about profitability and lifestyle. So if you want to make a boatload of money and you want to have a great life, then we're the people that you call to help you accomplish all those things. And I don't say that tongue in cheek. I mean that from my heart, is that, you know, we want to help your business serve the lifestyle that you want, not be the lifestyle that you have. And if you're interested in that, then you can reach out to us at some point. One of the things that I'm going to do today, Owen, is I'm going to give a lot of content. And so I'm going to do a brain dump. When we talk about taking advantage of the bounce right now, I'm going to share with you a lot of information. And I want to make sure that you are able to stay focused on what I'm talking about today and not trying to take pictures of the screen. So I'm just going to give you everything. And so if there's something of value that I share with you, I'm just going to give it. I'm just going to give it to you. So I'm going to give you a recruiting daily success habits, a 30-day launch program for onboarding your new people, a free recruiting consultation, a 90-day training center access if you sign up for one of those recruiting consultations with us. So there's a lot of information I'm going to give you, and I'm just going to give it to you. So for those of you that want to that show up on the webinar today that are really interested, this should be just a tremendous amount of valuable information for you.
That's exciting stuff, Verl, and a lot of good material, obviously, for everyone to dig into. An invitation on our end, if you pop back to that real quick, is we're going to do a free workshop that is 1 week from today on the 15th of July with Tyson, who's a real expert at this. And this is about internal marketing for brand templates. And so whether you're an existing Lucidpress customer or not, you can log in onto this workshop, and the link to register is right there. It's bit.ly/brandtemplate101, and V will put that in chat as well. Appreciate that. This would be a really helpful exercise if you're in the role of a head of marketer or maybe a leader at a brokerage or that kind of thing, and you want to make sure that all of the material that is created is on brand and on point, and people are doing that in a quick and effective way so that they can grow their business. This will be a great workshop for you to join that really drills down on that. And so more to come on that topic in a week, but let's dig into some of these poll questions you've got teed up.
All right, so I'm going to let V run the polls. So what would be a win from a recruiting standpoint between now and the end of the year for you? So when you look at your brokerage and you look at your business, how do you measure success from a recruiting standpoint? And so I want everybody to go in, and I want to just kind of get a feeling for who's on the group right here and what would be a win. Would it be recruiting 1 to 5 new agents? Check that box. If it's 6 to 10, then check that box. If it's 11 to 20, and that would be a win for you, check the box. And if it's 20 plus, check that box. And then once all that comes in, we're going to see the results. And it'll give me an idea of who I'm going to talk to today. And so based on the results of this poll, I want everybody to go in and fill it out. And then Veal put up the results for us. And we'll just share with you what we've learned. And then I'm going to talk to the majority. I want to make sure that I'm speaking to you based on the size of your business and how you measure success in your brokerage and what a win is.
Well, Verl, the interesting thing here is these numbers are coming in is that it is broken down pretty evenly. So we have 36% of folks here online are saying it'd be 1 to 5 agents, but 18% are saying 6 to 10, 18% 11 to 20, and then 27% 20 plus. So we have you know, kind of the biggest groupings at the smaller end of 1 to 5 agents, and then at the bigger end of 20 plus, and then some folks in the middle as well.
So I was on a call this morning with a group of 100 offices from a particular franchise, and what we decided to do in their recruiting competition, we decided to launch a 120-day competition. And in this recruiting competition, the goal and the way that we measure winning is if you're able to increase your agent count by 10% over the next 120 days. And so think about that. So if you're 200 agents, you have to add 20. If you only have 2 and you add 1, then you're kicking butt. And so the next question I have is, so you all have a goal of having growth from 1 to 5 to 20 plus. I would like to know how much time you spend daily on recruiting. So what is the amount of hours that you spend every day actually looking for people to join your firm? 1 to 2 hours, 2 to 5, 5 plus. If you're less than 1 to 2, that's okay. I should have had a less than. If I said how much time do you spend thinking about it, you'd all put 5 plus, and then how much do you actually spend doing it? I want the actual time spent contacting people to join. Share the numbers as they come in with me.
Will do. Yeah, they are coming in here rapidly. We'll probably give people just another few seconds to vote, but the majority of folks are clearly coming in at the 1 to 2 hour level. So we're going to round it. Let's go ahead and wrap that poll, and we'll call it just under 80% are in the 1 to 2 hours, and then 17% 2 to 5, and 4% 5 plus.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so the 1 to 2s, the 80% that are 1 to 2s are pretty much all lying. And that means that they have a goal of doing 1 to 2, but they're probably not doing any. They just wish they were doing 1 to 2. And I don't mean that anything other than your coach. If we actually track the amount of time you spent calling, I know that you have a desire to do it. A lot of people believe that the reason they can't recruit is because they're busy doing other things, or because the markets change, or because of COVID-19. We don't have an agent attraction problem. We have an agent attraction engagement problem, meaning we as leaders are not engaged in the process of attracting people. And so we're going to talk about that today. It's going to be a really strong focus on creating a system to systematize your recruiting so it happens without thinking about it. It has to be part of your daily routine. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. So I love that you're all being honest with your answers. So thank you for filling that out. How many of you actually have somebody full-time dedicated to recruiting? How many of you have a dedicated recruiter that is like, this is their full-time job? Because if it's their full-time job, they should be spending 10 hours a day recruiting. Like that's your job. What happens is we hire a recruiter and they're talented and we give them other tasks and they don't actually spend time doing the thing we hired them for. I'm interested to see the numbers on this come in.
So they're coming in now, and it's already clear what the trend is going to be. We'll give it just a few more seconds, but it's coming down right about 80-20, no, 80%, yes, 20%. In fact, that's now with the votes that have come in. We've hit that, and we're now at 81-19. So there we go. Let's go ahead and call the poll. I think that tells the story.
So, and isn't that interesting that the same numbers, right? The agents, the broker owners that don't have enough time to spend recruiting don't have somebody focused on it, but yet they have goals to be able to grow. And so they live in conflict. And when you live in conflict, what it does is it creates a high level of stress in your business and in your home life, because every day you're coming in knowing that you should be recruiting to grow your brokerage, and you're doing all of the tasks affiliated with running the office. You're dealing with the agents, keeping transactions together. Many of you are listing and selling houses. And so you have this underlying pressure or stress that says that I need to be recruiting, but you don't focus on it. And when you deal with that level of stress, it makes you less effective in every other area of your life, not just business, but also home. And so what I'd like to do is like to help you think a little differently and see if we can lower the stress, increase your productivity, and give you some skills and some tools. And so I like to think about recruiting as 4 R's. Oh, and the 4 R's of recruiting are these: recruit, ramp, reward, retain. And if you focus on recruit, ramp, reward, retain, and you constantly have those in the back of your mind, you'll find that you'll start seeing some difference in the outcome that brokers have in their business. So I want you to think about the recruiting side of it. Who do we recruit? How do we recruit? What do we go after? You know, I was just looking at NAR's latest statistics on, and I think it was put out. I'm trying to think it was put out. It wasn't by NAR. Keeping Current Matters was the source. And it was showing how many people are unemployed right now and who's unemployed. And what I learned was that there's millions and millions and millions of people that are out of work. And I don't know if you're feeling this, or if you're realizing this, but when I'm advertising for positions, and we've been hiring at Workman Success, I'm getting hundreds of resumes, but people don't want to come in for interviews. They're doing resumes so they can keep their unemployment checks because they're making more money being unemployed with the state unemployment and the government subsidy of $600 a week than they would make if they came to work. And so we're getting all these resumes, but people aren't really wanting to come to work. And then there's a whole bunch of this middle tier that are these $60,000 to $100,000 a year people who have a high level of uncertainty. They don't know if their jobs are going to come back, and they don't know what to do. And so our real estate schools are chock full of people that are basically being paid by the government to go to real estate school right now. And so now there's like this perfect storm, or this environment that's been created for people to go after business professionals to create an opportunity for them to get in the greatest business in the world, and that's real estate. I don't know how many jobs that are out there that you can get that you can make 6 and 7 figures and control your own destiny than real estate. Real estate is a phenomenal. And so with all the uncertainty in the job market, with all the people in real estate school, with all of the resources and tools that we have available today in automation, there has never been a better time than today to ramp up your recruiting. And so I'm going to I'm just throwing down the gauntlet right now. And I'm saying right now is a time that you should be focused on building your business and recruiting. When everybody else is hiding under their beds and they're pulling back and they're afraid, now's the time to get up and take market share. We don't create any new business, Owen. All we do is take other people's.
So, well, that's a great quote and note, Verl. One thought, well, let me actually share 2 thoughts that come to mind. One is, if our participants out there are having questions as we're talking through these things, please do go ahead and use the chat function or the Q&A function to send those in. Irene and V will be answering questions, some directly there as we go, then they'll save some for us for a little question section at the end. But I have a question for you, Verl, as we're digging into this, and that is, you mentioned that group of folks who would be coming in who might be more in the just getting started bucket. For people that are looking to recruit more experienced, tenured agents, what would you tell them in this environment?
So I'm going to tell them a few things. First of all, I don't believe we should be selling people on why they should join us. Now, this is just kind of a whack approach to recruiting. I don't think that anybody leaves because of your feature dump. And so when you do a recruiting meeting and you spew and vomit all of the features that you provide to agents, that's not why they join. They join because something has happened in the relationship they have with their current brokerage that makes them feel like it's no longer the right place. And so if our recruiting process is designed to serve, and we do it from a place of genuine wanting to make a difference in that person's life, and we make the recruiting conversation about them instead of about us, we will attract a lot more people. And especially the producers. The producers aren't, yes, splits are important, and yes, what they take home is important, but the more important thing to them is, how can we help them get everything they want out of their lives? And if you take that approach, and I'm going to show you some resources, Owen, today that will help you do that recruiting consultation, that will move it from a sales pitch to a serve situation. Serve regardless of the opportunity. And so I like to think about how do you find people, right? So who are the people we're looking for? And so I'm going to give you some things, and there's a couple of things that aren't actually on the slides that I'm just going to share with you. So take good notes. But I always look for agents on the other side of transactions that were culturally a good fit. They didn't negotiate like it was their baby. They did what's best for their client, but they negotiated in a spirit of, how do we put this deal together? Not trying to justify, their existence as a realtor by making them part of the transaction. When an agent says to me during a negotiation, well, we were looking at your offer and we really feel like when you put yourself in the transaction, I already know that you think you're more important than you really are. You know, when my client looks at something and they don't believe it's the right deal, then I'm going to communicate that my clients looked at it and reviewed it, and this is what they think. I'm not going to insert myself into it because it's not about me. And so I look for agents that are culturally the right fit, that put their clients ahead of their commission breath and do the right things all the time for their clients. So I go after them. Think about all of the stress that's on all our nurses and our school teachers right now. And I think that those people that are in nurturing positions right now are underpaid for the work that they do, and they make a difference in the world. I want to teach them how they can continue to make a difference in the world, but make a good living doing it. And so that's a place that I'm looking for. I look for the nurturers, and I create environments that allow them to be who they are and really grow. I look for underperforming agents. One of the things that I look for is a target. So when I'm building teams, and especially a brokerage, I look for agents that are doing 8 to 10 transactions a year. That says per month, but it's supposed to say per year. So underperforming agents doing less than 10 transactions a year. If you're a full-time agent and you're not selling 2 transactions a month, then you spend the majority of your time doing fake work. And so you pretend, you get up every day, you leave your family, you go to the office and you pretend like you're working. But if you're not doing 2 deals a month, you are not working. I don't care what you're telling yourself, you are doing fake work. And so we're going to create an environment, a culture of productivity. And so we want to help them perform. The next thing I look for is I look for overperforming agents. And I would look for agents within your organization because they're at risk, and outside your organization. If I've got an agent doing 20 transactions and they don't have an assistant, they don't have any team members, that means I've got a good realtor who is good at attracting business that's probably leaving, hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table because they don't have the human resources to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that come. When you're good at the business, Owen, you attract more business. And so someone doing 20 deals, I can take them to 40 and then to 80 and then to 120, and they'll work less at 120 than they are today at 20. Think about that concept.
Great. I love it. Tell us how to get it done. All
right. So how do we do it? So we created just for you the Workman Success Lucidpress Recruiting Daily Success Habits Tracker. And what this is that, every business is either intentionally created or it's accidentally created. Many of we have 80% of the brokers on this call that don't have anyone dedicated to recruiting, and they spend less than 1 or 2 hours a day actually recruiting. And so what I'd like to give you is a challenge that you will spend the amount of time necessary to get 61 points a day doing recruiting activities. You can do it in an hour, you can do it in 2 hours. It just depends on your focus. What this daily success habits tracker does is it tracks all of the conversations you have, all the calls you make, and all the appointments that you make to drive people into a recruiting environment. And so if you set a goal to get 61 points a day, Owen, this is what I promise. You track your calls, you track the emails and texts you send, you track the handwritten notes, the recruiting appointments that are made today. You get 10 points. If a recruiting appointment is kept, you get 3 points. If a retention appointment is kept, you go through the list with a goal of getting 61 points a day. If you'll go and you'll make a commitment, your whole life will change. Everything changes the day you make a commitment. So if you'll make a commitment to 61 points a day doing recruiting productive activities, a year from now, you won't wonder whether or not your business is going to grow. You'll have more agents joining you. You'll have better agents joining you because you have a consistent time. So what you do is you time block and say, I'm going to spend between 9 and 11 every day doing agent attraction activities that are in my daily success habits tracker. And then what I encourage you to do is find an accountability partner. If you don't have a coach, a Workman Success coach or someone like that doing that with you, then look at the attendee list on this call, pick someone, reach out in the chat box and say, I need an accountability partner who wants to kill it with recruiting with me, and let's build a synergy using each other to recruit. What do you guys think of the concept? How many of you believe that if you got 61 points a day doing recruiting activities, you would actually grow your firm's business and profitability as a result?
So we've got someone, some people raising their hands. That's nice to see. People are, I think, saying, yeah, amen, Verl. Now, a question that I have for you is, when you start working with a new client, where do you think people typically are at? Like how many points?
0 to 10. What they do is they recruiting is usually reactive instead of proactive. And so what happens, Owen, is that when one of their agents leaves and takes 3 agents with them, they go, holy crap, I got to recruit. Or when a team leaves, or when one of their top agents leaves and gets recruited by, whoever out there because of the better concept, they tell the broker that it's the right thing to do for their family. The reality is that their relationship is out of balance. And so they don't believe that they're getting enough in return for what they're putting into the brokerage, whether it's financial or time. And when the relationship is out of the balance, it creates the opportunity for someone to leave. When someone leaves, that's painful for a broker. Then they go, oh my gosh, I've got to recruit. So recruiting is reactive to pain instead of a consistent, proactive environment. And so I would say that most people are normal and that they get up every day with the intent of doing recruiting activities. And then the whirlwind catches them and it just spins them around. And by the end of the day, they get home and they're tired and they sit in their overstuffed chair and their spouse says, what'd you do today? They go, I have no idea. I just know I was busy. But none of those activities had anything to do with recruiting. And so we get caught in the whirlwind. And so we have to start time blocking and deciding, and we just have to have a system. If you don't, this is just me. I'm the worst ADD guy. I go a million miles an hour in 25 different directions. And so if I don't systematize things, if I don't have time blocks where I say, I'm going to focus on this task, it doesn't get done. And so I've learned that to control the entrepreneur's mindset, which is going a million miles an hour, we have to time block and then then we have to hold ourselves accountable. We have to keep the promises we made to our family and to ourselves that we are going to grow something that has real value. And we do that by doing these recruiting activities and by growing. So I don't know if that's the answer you were looking for, Owen, but most people are reactive in their recruiting, not proactive. They don't systematize it by doing that routine 61 points a day. I call it the 61 points of rhythm, and it really works. Now, you'll laugh because, I live in Salt Lake City, Utah. I have 6 children. I have 10 grandkids, and my favorite person is Rita that runs HAR. She does all the education for the Houston Association of Realtors. And she says to me, every time I bring up the 61 points of rhythm, she says, Verl, you have 6 kids. The rhythm method doesn't work. I said, it does if you follow it every single day. The next thing we've done is, I'll tell you, Owen, this is kind of funny, is we have this really cool relationship with WiseHire, and WiseHire's gone in and we've created, I don't know if you use WiseHire. Do you guys use WiseHire? WiseHire is like a job board. It's like, go ahead.
No, we don't use it, but I'm intrigued to hear more.
So WiseHire is like a job board where you post all of the positions that you want to hire for, and then they have an account rep that works with you. They do disc and motivators profiles. Well, we cut a deal with WiseHire, and we went in and we created the job templates for the people that we want to hire. And if you use wisehire.com/Workman Success, your account will be populated with the job descriptions for the real estate positions that we hire for nationwide. And so, like, we have transaction coordinator job template, we have a buyer's agent job description, we have a listing agent job description, a listing coordinator job description. So we have their job descriptions, the compensation programs, the contracts. And so as a Workman Success client with WiseHire, you're supposed to be a coaching client, but I'm giving this to everybody who's on the call today as a Lucidpress gift. But if you go to wisehire.com/Workman Success, that'll log you into a discounted thing, and it'll preload some of our templates that we've used for hiring. We want to automate your process. We generate a tremendous number of resumes for every position, including agents, when we use WiseHire.
Appreciate it, bro.
Yep, I just want to give that. So this is the job. This is the inside salesperson. This is the showing assistant. We've got all of that. All right. So the next thing I want to do is I want you to know that everybody has a recruiting method or system that they like to follow. And when they get into a system or a process, they kind of get stuck in the rut. And I've learned that if we take your best recruiting method, maybe it's open houses, or maybe it's job boards, or maybe it's cold calling or prospecting, you take whatever you're doing and we say, this is going to be one of my pillars, and we build 3 other pillars of recruiting. So you have 4 pillars of recruiting clients coming into your pipeline every month. You'll end up quadrupling your results. And so let's say, Owen, your goal was to recruit 10 agents this year, and you picked one way of doing it. I would tell you that you need 4 different ways of accomplishing the goal of recruiting 10 agents, and work each one of them as if it's the only thing you're doing. Because what happens is when you have 1 and you fall short of your goal. When you have 4 and you fall short in 2 of the 4, you double your goal.
So here's a question for you. Do you find that most of your clients end up being really, really good at just one or two of those, but they need to get into each of them to find out what they're best at? Or do you find that there are a lot of people who are firing on all cylinders and knocking them out 4 out of 4?
So the people that are doing really well are the ones that are most self-aware. And I've never found anyone that hits 100% in all 4 pillars. What they do is they hit 100% of their goal in one, which is referrals and repeat business. And so the referrals from their agents, the referral generated business is the one that everybody does well, but it's the prospecting of looking for new talent where people fail because it causes them to get uncomfortable. So if I'm making you call agents or go to open houses and, Facebook stalk people, I'm having you do things that are outside of your comfort zone. It's just easier not to do it. And so the most successful recruiters are self-aware of where they fall short and they do the activities anyway. The difference, and this is just a life principle, but the difference between average and exceptional is not the quality of the individual, but it's the activities that they focus on in their day. I mean, Owen, you've got a great company that just has tremendous talent and resources. Have you ever seen people that have amazing resumes that underperform?
Sure. There's elements of hunger and passion and all kinds of other things that can make a huge difference in that.
Yeah. And have you ever seen people that on paper don't pencil out, but kick butt when they actually come to work every day?
For the same reasons, you bet.
Yeah. And the same is true with leaders. You know, if you're not doing great in recruiting, it's probably not that you're not a high quality individual. It's that you're not focused on the right activities every day. And so if we can get you to think differently about where I put my focus, we can start getting a different result. I would rather, my dad was a school teacher and he taught AP history at Skyline High School. And he taught world religions and world economics. And he was he was an ex-Marine. I learned as a kid, there's no such thing as an ex-Marine. And my dad, I remember he had gone and they did this program called the Model UN. Oh, and you were probably involved in that.
I never got into the Model UN, but I've heard about it. I would have liked it.
Yeah. Okay. So it's really cool. So the Model UN is basically you build a Model United Nations and then you compete with different world problems. And then you win against your district and the region and then the state. And then you go to nationals. And my dad's class went to nationals in Washington, D.C. and he won the country as a Model United Nations. And that was kind of a cool thing. And I said to my dad, I said, well, it's not really fair, Dad, because you have all the AP kids, the advanced placement history kids. He says, oh no, that's not who I take. I said, what do you mean? He said, I would rather have a group of people with great attitudes than take the kids with the highest aptitudes. And that has stuck with me my entire life, that attitude is more important than aptitude. It's your attitude towards recruiting and it's your desire to succeed and to feed your family and make a difference in the lives of the agents that you're attracting than it is how smart you are. I mean, I'm not that smart of a guy, but I have a good attitude. And because my attitude is good, it causes me to do hard things. When I sold a business several years ago to one of the big .coms, and it was really interesting. And Owen, you've been involved in different business technology companies and things like that over the years, but I thought it was really interesting when I'd never met with venture capitalists before, but the first group was from California, and the Californians came into our office and they said, okay, these are the VCs, right? And they are in their 3-piece suits and they're all MBAs from different Ivy League schools. And they said, what is your unique selling advantage? What is your USA? Have you ever heard that before? What do you have that's different?
Yeah, or USP, unique selling proposition. Yep.
Yeah. Well, so that was the first group, right? The USA people. The second people was from the Midwest, and they came in and they said, what is your sustainable competitive advantage? What do you have that's going to keep you in business when everybody else is failing? And I thought that's a really good question, right? And so like all of our broker owners that are on this call right now, what is your sustainable competitive advantage? When everybody else is failing, what do you have that's going to keep you growing? It could be your 61 points a day that you do in recruiting. It could be that you spend 2 hours a day doing activities that generate real revenue. And then the third group was from New York, and the company was called Patrikoff Partners. And Patrikoff came in and they did the acquisition, and then they went out and raised about $75 million for us. And it was really interesting. You know what they said, Owen, to me? They said, what is your unfair competitive advantage? What do you have that flat out dominates, that make it unfair for anybody else to compete with you in the marketplace? I love that question.
That's a great one. Yeah.
Like we have unique selling advantage, sustainable competitive advantage, and then how do you flat out dominate? So when you meet with someone to recruit them to your brokerage, what do you have that separates you from everybody else? What is your unfair competitive advantage? Don't just think about it. Put it in the chat box. I want to know what yours is. And if you can't articulate it, then you probably don't have one. So what is your unfair competitive advantage? Like if you met me in an elevator and I said, what do you do that makes you different as a brokerage? What's your unfair competitive advantage? I want you to drill it out. Tell me what it is. Come on, type it in the Zoom chat. I'm going to pause for this because I want to know.
I know there's some questions coming in as well. We appreciate those. Irene and V will be getting back to you, and then we'll have some time for Q&A at the end as well. Really interested to hear more what people say.
Yeah, I love Alan. Alan says that we do stock. So Alan, I love that business model. We have stock and rev share. So we make you a partner in the success of the brokerage. Love that. Stephen, I love our culture and extremely high standards. So the competitive advantage is we don't want you unless you're producing. I love that, which means we create an environment for you to be successful. Love that. Resources and reach, Chelsea says. Love that one as well. Culture is big. So, okay.
I think Nancy, to be clear, Nancy said it's culture, not culture.
That's way better than culture. Okay. So Nancy, I want to hear more about that, but here's the thing. I met a gal the other day, actually, it's been a couple of years, and she had the most amazing culture, but her agents were all poor. And she said, but I just love it. We're like a family. We come to work every day and we have each other's backs. I'm like, yeah, you have time to have each other's backs. No one's selling anything. So how about we create a culture of productivity? Let's make it cool and let's dominate. The broker manager is non-compete, only person training in town, in-house graphic designer, marketing department. I love that, Matt. Those are all good. Strategic marketing done automatically over listings. Really good ones. Yeah, we are different. Training, in-house marketing support. Culture is huge for us as long as training and accountability. Non-selling brokers and managers. A lot of brokers feel like that's an unfair competitive advantage. I don't care if my broker sells. Some people care, some people don't. I think that that's one of the ones that we use because it's a differentiator, and I like that. But most brokers are broke and they have to sell real estate in order to pay their bills. And so I also don't have a problem with brokers selling and creating an environment for their agents to be successful as well. And so any of those things work. It's that you have the ability to communicate that. Chance Brown has grown his office by over 100 agents since the first of the year. So during COVID, Chance Brown is on demand. This is his CB&A Realtors in Houston, Texas, and he is adding offices and growing like crazy. And what he uses as his unfair competitive advantages is the Workman Success Training Center, where he has buyer agent mastery, listing agent mastery, new agent training for administrative assistants, and he licensed our training center to be able to make that his unfair competitive advantage. And then he runs live courses that are running all the time. Right now, he's doing live Zoom courses that go through and teach agents how to be successful. We spend between $75,000 and $100,000 building out a training program. And so it's hard for brokers to duplicate what we build, and we build it based on the wisdom of our crowd. So we go into all of these amazing agents that are doing incredible business, and we help them build that. Okay. So if you want to have an unfair competitive advantage and you want to ramp your training, just, reach out to Workman at some point or respond to one of our things, and you can have the ability to do that. Critical questions you need to ask.
Burl, real quick, I'm going to jump in. We want to make sure that people have time to ask some questions. So I think we've got about 10 minutes of material, then we'll jump into the Q&A.
Okay.
So for the attendees, please be having your questions ready.
Okay, so thank you, Owen, for that. So I'm gonna go into 5-hour energy mode, where we ramp this up a little bit. So here's some critical questions that you need to ask. And the first one is, are we giving more value than we're asking for in capital return? And so whatever it is you're asking for from your agents when you're recruiting your current agents, are you giving more value than what you're asking for from them? The next question is, what can we do to improve our self-worth so it will drive our net worth? And so that question right there, when I think about recruiting, it's how do I help somebody improve their self-worth? If I believe and see more in them than they see in themselves, then it increases the value they see in themselves, and then they pour into their clients more, and it helps them grow. The next question I'm going to ask for you is, how important is it for you to break out of your current state? How many of you are stuck, or you haven't been able to grow, or you feel like you're kind of on a hamster wheel, making a lot of motion, but not making a lot of progress? My question to you is, how important is it for you to break out of that state? Because I believe that massive action is the only way to create massive results. And unless you do something drastically different and take that massive action, you'll continue to just make little teeny improvements instead of have a massive result. And then a lot of people have limiting beliefs. And when I'm in a discussion with someone, whether it's an agent or a broker, Owen, and this is one of my favorite questions. And when someone says, well, our market's different, or, I can't do because of luxury, or my average sales price is too low. I always ask the question, is it more important for you to hang on to that position than it is for you to have success?
You got to change people's thinking, right?
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to.
And so recruiting is about asking critical questions. And when you learn how to ask the critical questions, what will happen is you'll start engaging people at a different level. If I can make you think, then it gives you the ability to believe that I may be able to help you take action in the areas where I've caused you to think. So how important is it for you to hang on to that position? I had a guy in the Pacific Palisades, California, that told me he was doing 100 million in sales, small broker owner. And he said, I told him that, look, to be on one of my teams, a buyer's agent has to do a minimum of 24 units a year. And he says, well, an agent doing 24 units a year in the Pacific Palisades would be like the top 5 in the Palisades. And I said, is it more important for you to hang on to that position than it is to have success? And he said, no. And I said, so let's change the way we think about what's possible. Let's expand our market. Now he's got a team, and he's got several agents doing more than 20 million and more than 20 transactions a year. And it's really cool to see that. So we keep asking questions. Now, I'm going to give you this last tool, because this is what we call our AMP scorecard. And I'm going to give this to everybody to use. It's a Google Doc. And the AMP scorecard is also another way to look at this, is we call it a success probability index. And so when you're doing a recruiting call, what I like to do, Owen, is I like to get an agent. I say, okay, I'd like to do what's called a success probability index with you, and we evaluate all of your current systems, and then based on those current systems, we'll give you solutions on how to take your business to the next level. And so we go in, and let's see if this does this. Dang it didn't do it. Okay, so what we go in is there's a tab on the bottom of the spreadsheet that has all the CRM questions to ask, all the marketing questions to ask, all the lead management questions to ask, all the business management accounting questions to ask. We go through every single one of them until we score it. And then once we score it, inside of our training center, there's answers to all those questions. And so then we teach our brokers to run live courses. So we run Ramp Live, BAM Live, and Slam Live, and we use those courses to bring in new recruits as we train them and we teach them how to be part of our culture. And so the first portion is ramp. I think we better do another call on how to ramp the agents. The best recruiting activity I found is success. And if you want to attract a lot of agents, put more signs in yards. Get your agents to produce more. When there's a lot of your signs in yards, that's the best agent attraction. And then we've created a new agent onboarding process. And so we take the stress out of onboarding. So when a new agent joins one of your firms, we have a whole process that we do for during the agent onboarding day. And we break it down to, if you look close at the spreadsheet, Owen, you can see that here's all the things I'm going to teach. Here's how many minutes it takes to teach that concept. And here who's on my team's going to teach it. When we're done, it's a 7-hour day, and that includes breaks and a lunch. And so we break down all of those activities in agent onboarding. We're going to share this with everybody. This is all part of the agent onboarding day that you're seeing right here. Look at that. And it's 7 hours. Like, you have to automate your processes or you won't do it. We sabotage our own success by creating excuses for failure because it takes too much work to onboard an agent, because we don't have a system. So we have to systematize everything we do. This is our 90-day agent launch plan. And we've taken specific assignments that I want the agent to do, the team leader to do, the admin person to do, doesn't matter what position I hire. We've created a 90-day launch program. So when they join our company, they have 90 days to get ramped up on everything, so they know our systems, so that they can make a difference in our business. You guys like this stuff? I hope you're getting excited about it. The next thing is rewarding people, and that's creating an environment where we celebrate their successes. We, as brokers, celebrate the wrong things, and it drives me nuts. what, I mean, I've been to conventions, these national conventions where agents parade across the stage and they get a trophy for being in poverty and qualifying for Obamacare. Like they get a trophy for being a 100% club and they haven't done more than 10 transactions. We celebrate the wrong things. What I want to celebrate is I want to celebrate the activities that get the results. How many calls did you make? How many appointments did you set? How many contracts did you sign? The money will take care of itself. How about profitability? What if we need to start doing net profit awards, Owen? Let's come up with a Lucidpress net profit award, and let's start awarding brokerages and agents and team leaders for being successful with net profit. And we do that by tracking the right things. There's a daily success habits tracker that I'll give everybody today. When I talked about systematizing your business, when I talk about systematizing your onboarding, when I talk about systematizing your recruiting, systems drive results. What I love about Lucidpress is they take the I call it brand bastardizing away from the agents, and they create systems that create consistency in the branding and the messaging in every area of my business. Tell me more about that.
Well, what it does is it makes it, as I alluded to at the beginning, quick and easy for any agent to create on-brand materials. We have a really easy to use design interface. It was built to be for anyone with any experience level to get in, to have their templates all in one place. The data streams in, their smart fields pre-populate. And so if you've got a property that you want to market, you can do that. You've got your print materials ready, your social materials. You can have some flexibility. So as the person who's controlling the brand, you can set the parameters of how much people can adjust in there. And it's an extremely powerful tool, like you said, Verl. As fast-paced as this is, you've got to have systems in place that allow you to scale design across your entire organization.
The thing that we do to fail our agents, Owen, is we create an environment for them to hang their license. We do training for them, but then we watch them spend 70 to 80% of their day building flyers or trying to figure out what to post on social media. And so what I like to do is I like to plug into my Lucidpress solution, and then I remove all of those excuses for agent failure and get them focused on dollar productive activities. We've got in-house designers. You've got people that create these unbelievable templates, and all the agent has to do is plug in and log in and put it on steroids and automate it.
That's right. And I know that we've got more to cover here. And so I'm thinking, folks, we're at the point now where if you've got questions you want answered, go ahead and start putting those in. But let's keep rolling through the content here, Verl, because I want to get to some more of the good stuff here in the deck. But please go ahead and feel free to send your questions in via chat or the Q&A, and we'll be ready for them.
So I challenge you to give me a question I can't answer. So let's throw it out there. Come on, give me the hard stuff, guys. Give me a couple Verl questions. Like, you got your coach on the call right now, and you can ask me anything, and I will not hold back. I'll give you the answers, whether you like it or not. I'll tell you the truth.
The first question we got, just to interject, and then let's go back to the material as some more roll in. But I think that we already covered, and that is, why do you suggest that the low producing agents are those who do less than 10 a month? And we knew that month we meant 10 a year. The slide said 10 a month, but we meant 10 a year. So that's not the kind of hard question. Let's see if we can stump Verl with something else.
So now, Owen, you do laugh about that, but I've got a small broker owner in Wisconsin named Mike Koch, and Mike's really interesting. When he started coaching with us, he was doing about 50 transactions a year. He runs his brokerage as a team. In June of this year, he closed 50 transactions. And so by implementing the systems and the processes that I'm talking about, by automating everything, we took his annual production and moved it into June. He's going to be a 7-figure business this year. It's like really been fun to watch the transition and the mindset change of what's possible. He used to think that 50 a year was a good, and he wanted to go to 100 a year. Now he wants to go to 100 a month. And so what you believe is possible changes when you have different experiences. And so someone who says that 10 a month seems like it's crazy, it's not crazy. I didn't mean to put that on that slide. I did say 10 a year, and that's who I identify at-risk agents. Look, if you have an agent doing less than 10 and your average sales price is 300 or less, that's just not, like, 10 deals a year is just like, what do you do all day? Like, seriously, like you got to ask the question, because you can't tell me you're getting up every day and working all day if you're not even doing one a month. What do you do the other 29 days of the month? Like, seriously. And if you're buying into the bull crap, the agents are telling you that they're busy, then you're part of the problem. So as leaders, we have to stop buying into the bull crap, and we have to create an environment that allows them to see what's possible. They behave based on their experience they've had up at this point in their lives, and we have to create new experiences for them. Isn't that fun to think about, though, how much opportunity there is?
I love it. Well, let's keep rolling through the content here, Verl, and we've got a few questions that are starting to come in, so we'll be ready for those.
Okay. All right. So number one is we identify at-risk agents. I want you to provide really clear solutions. The Workman Success Training Center is great from a marketing perspective, the Lucidpress templates and the technology that they've done to automate all that. Make sure that you have a relationship with someone in your brokerage that you can refer personal coaching to. You know, like I believe we're the best, but I don't really care. You know, like successful people have coaches, period, whether they're athletes or agents or business people, they plug in. And so, you know, Workman Success, we specialize in teams and brokerages, but we have a lot of individual agents. There's other great coaches out there. Partner with them and have a partnership. As a broker owner, you can't coach all your agents, and I'll tell you why. You walk this fine line of accountability and then ticking them off so they'll leave. And so I don't have that. And so I can hold them accountable and get them to keep the promises they make because they can't leave me. I have a contract. But as a broker owner, if you tick them off, they're just going to quit. And so you have this fine line you have to walk between leading them and accountability. And then, you know, create great partnerships. The partnerships that Lucidpress builds with companies is just phenomenal. It makes it so much easier. The last thing I'm going to tell you is never do anything for agents that you're trying to recruit that you currently don't do for agents that you already have. You know, we spend so much time and effort stressing and thinking about recruiting. I want you to focus on retention and how do you keep your people that are there productive. You know, if you're sending them birthday cards, doing celebrations of new listings, new closings or whatever, if you're stopping by their open house, if you're calling, emailing, texting, and you're training, you need to be doing that for your own agents as well as you are for the agents you're trying to recruit. What if you went through all of your agents, we did a success probability index, and you went through that AMP scorecard with them and you went through and check their systems and see how they're doing it? I think you're going to find that they have a lot of opportunity for growth. Okay, so everybody take a picture of the slide right here. Whoops, too late. All right, take a picture of this slide, workmansuccess.com /Lucid Recruit. And this will give you my recruiting daily success habits, my 90-day launch program. If you would like a recruiting consultation, want to meet with one of my business managers, you're interested in a coach, reach out to us. And if you schedule one of those, we'll give you 30 days of our free training center where you can plug in your agents and start going through the training. Let's jump in, Owen, and answer any questions that have come up.
Let's do, and we will, as a reminder for those of you that are hanging on to that DoorDash gift certificate too, that we'll do that right before we wrap up here. But we've got some good questions coming in. Appreciate those. So the first one is, oops, just lost it. It is, I use a 70-30 rule, meaning 70% new agents and 30% experienced agents. I'm sure this means in recruiting. Just wanted to get your take on what sort of percentage you typically suggest people go after.
And so it depends on your structure. And so there's different business models, whether you're 100% shop or a flat fee shop or a traditional split brokerage. And depending on your compensation plan and what you have available to agents will determine which kind of agents you're able to attract and go after. I like the 70-30 because it's a system and you've thought it through and you've done it. What I would do is look at your numbers and see what success you're having in each of those areas and see if there's an underserved area. So my answer is I like the idea of it, but I need to know a little bit more about what you do and what your comp plans are to tell you how to go after people. You know, traditional split companies generally have a harder time attracting, you know, the agents that will work on a regular split. And so they've had to adapt their compensation. I have a really cool tool, and maybe we do this on another brokerage call, Owen, that we've created called the Brokerage Compensation Decision Maker. And it's a sheet that we've created that allows you to go in and say, look, this is what I believe I should make off of an agent as a team leader. This is what I should make off a team member. And then it calculates a flat fee program, a split program, and a transaction fee model. And it gives you 3 different compensation methods to get to that same dollar per agent. And so there's not a right way to do it, but you need some tools that will help you think through that. And I'd love to talk about that on another call.
Yeah, that sounds like a great framework. Let me throw another question at you here, Verl. This is, what do you recommend when your up and coming agents are being heavily recruited by competition in the market with things like cash rewards for joining, marketing credits, etc.?
So you have to look at your relationship, and you have to ask yourself the question, am I in balance? Am I giving the agents more than I'm asking from them? And if you're not, then you're going to get poached. You're going to get poached heavily, and you're going to get picked off by these people that are giving your agents, and they're going to put the relationship in balance. And so your culture is everything. And so when you've got these people that are really going after your agents, you have to recruit your agents stronger than they are, meaning you've got to lean into them. I found that the best retention tool is success. And if you create an environment with training and marketing tools and systems that allow the agents to be successful, and you really work with them, you really coach them and work with them, and you help them become successful, they're less likely to leave. Look, you know who's easy target? Easy targets is the people that don't produce, because they are sold the dream that if you come join my agents, you'll be more successful. The reality is they're going to suck when they move to the other brokerage as well, and maybe you ought to let them go. I want people that are hungry, humble, and smart, that are trainable and teachable, that understand the value that I provide, and I want to communicate that value proposition to them constantly. Are you doing daily huddles? Are you doing weekly Zoom meetings? Look at the value that you're providing. Look at that online training center, because that's a big retention tool. So those are some different ideas.
Love it. Thanks, Verl. And here's the last question that I think we'll run with today. And that is, I'm finding the high producing agents are harder to recruit because they're comfortable where they are. What suggestions do you have for that?
You have to make them uncomfortable. And so when I take someone that tells me that they're comfortable where they are, my first question is, does your spouse know that? Meaning, like, you say you're comfortable, but is there another level you could be performing at? And if I could take you there without having it cost you any more time away from your family, would you like to see what that looks like? So you have to ask the right question. Like, I've never met someone that is truly an entrepreneur that is comfortable where they are. Every once in a while, I'll come across someone, and I have this dialogue. I learned this dialogue when I used to sell hot tubs and satellite dishes. Here, you ready for it? I want everybody to write this dialogue down. When you say I'm comfortable where I am, I always say, tell me more about that. Where are you? Is your retirement fully funded? Is your kids' college all paid for? Do you have the weddings all taken care of? Do you make all your decisions in life because you want to do it or don't want to do it, not because you have the money or don't have the money? Have you given away all the money to everybody that's in need, and there's no one else out there that needs anything? Like, is that what you mean by you're comfortable? Because most people are just giving you an excuse that's not truth. And so if you ask them deeper questions to tell me more about that, they'll tell you the truth, and then you can help them get what they want. I helped a guy go from $50,000 a year to $1 million a year, and he said, when's enough? And I said, when you've given it all away and there's no one else out there that needs anything. Otherwise, let's keep going. He's like, okay, let's go. There's so many people in the world that need something. Find something bigger than yourself, and let's come up with a program to help you make so much money that you can make a difference in the world. I don't think any of us are going to be measured by how many agents we recruit or how many houses we've sold. I believe that we're going to be measured by the impact we make on the lives of the people we serve in our brokerages and our families and our communities. So let's make a commitment to have wild success so we can make a difference in the world. And I'll leave you with that, Owen. I think that's the legacy that I'd like to leave, is how do we make a difference?
Amen. Thank you, Verl. That's been inspiring. Let's just go to a couple final slides there that we have where we've got the 4 R's as a reminder, and we'll do the DoorDash giveaway. We have the 2 winners. They are Nancy. I don't know if it's Costa or Costa, but Nancy, we've seen you participating. We appreciate it, and you won the random drawing, as well as John Showalter. So congratulations, $25 gift certificates going to Nancy and John. And
woo, Nancy, way to go. That's high five. I'm going to give you a virtual hug.
Yeah,
we can't hug, so we got to do jazz hands.
Right. So thank you for being a part of what we're doing. We really appreciate it. Again, on the Lucid Press side, we'll be doing another workshop here 1 week from today at 1 p.m. Eastern. And the link for that is in the chat. Thanks, Steve, for putting that in there. We hope you'll be able to join us for that. And it's just been great being here together with you, Verl, as per usual. Any last final thoughts on your end to hit before we wrap?
Nope. Just remember that the only difference between those who succeed and those who fail is not the quality of the people, but it's the activities you focus on. And so make a commitment to do your 61 points a day recruiting, and let's change your world. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all. Have a great week. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, O.